Here on Politicals, Lere Olainka, Federal Capital Territory FCT Minister Asim Wike's Senior Special Assistant on Public Communications and Social Media, has said it was unfortunate that some elders in Rivers State who played the ostrich looked the other way and carried on unconsigned when suspended Governor Siminalayi Fubara was acting like an emperor and now speaking like children who lost their most prized toys. Olainka, in a statement on Thursday, described as funny and unfortunate that a former governor of Rivers State, Ada George, who was among those clapping for Fubara when he was sitting on the salary and other entitlements of fellow indigenes of Rivers State, who are members of the State House of Assembly, is now speaking on who should be blamed for the state of emergency in the state. During the media briefing, Ada George had accused the FCT minister of orchestrating the ongoing political crisis in Rivers State, including the imposition of a state of emergency and appointment of sole administrators in all the 23 local government areas of the state. Our conversation on Politicals will center around much ado about crisis instigators in Rivers State. I'm having this conversation with a legal practitioner and co-convener, Lawyers Without Borders, Port Harcourt Zone. We're having this Zoom conversation with Asim Adams, Esquire. Good evening, Asim. Thanks for having you on Politicals.
Yeah, good evening to you. How are you doing today? Nice. Good evening, Nigerians. Good evening.
Hey, good evening. Thank you for joining us. Let's get on right away with the crisis in Rivers State. I know that most people will term it political crisis, but just to be sure, are these crises political, economic, social, or is it a combination of all of these factors, or more than one of these factors?
Well, you know, what we have in River State, is a combination of all you have listed. As I speak to you, that River State, predecessor problem. You find out that once a governor rules for 8 years and he wants to choose his successor, there is always a problem. It's a syndrome. It's a syndrome in River State. And this problem has to do with the political aspect of it, of choosing a successor that will replace the predecessor. That is political. Then two, on economic fronts, that is how the state treasury should be managed. It is as the case may be. So economically, politically, yes, you are very correct. Then socially speaking, it's also there, because you find out that everywhere you go to, past governors of River State, people look at them as role models. People see them as caregivers. People see them as philanthropists. People see them as people who they want to associate with socially and otherwise. So it's a combination of the three factors we just listed. And this particular one is not defined between Yeso Wike and Asim Fubara. So it's a combination of the three.
Okay, let's return to 1999 at least and see if we can pick up something from the past, historical or political or otherwise, that has shaped the current democratic practices in Rivers State. What is it really? From Peter Odeli, we had Umeha, and with a twist of events, Amechi Bikamechi came in, and then the immediate past governor, Yesom Wike, and now Sim Fubara, who is currently on suspension. whatever that means in the political world, in a democratic system. Is there something about Rivers State on this front that has shaped the political activities of the state? If we start from 1999, for instance.
Yes, there is something special about Rivers State. Politically, in terms of elections, Rivers State has, one of the highest registered voting population. Rivers State also has a very active voting population. The second one is that Rivers State is the treasure base of Nigeria, as they call it. Rivers State is one of the richest states in Nigeria. You find that there's a particular local government they call Obiakpo local government. Is the second, if not the richest, or one of the richest local governments that you have in Nigeria. Three is that the political actors in Rivers State
let me get this correctly, Asim. Is it the local government that houses Port Harcourt, the state capital? Is that Obiakpo? I need to know why it is that economically viable.
Well, you see, Obiakpo local government is one of the biggest, one of the richest in Nigeria because of the revenue accruing from that particular local government. And you see have a local government they call FAGA. Obiakpo encompasses some of the biggest companies you have, in Rivers State today that generate so much resources and revenue for the state, as the case may be. So if you say it's one of the richest, that is the indices we have used. I saw this from the National Bureau of Statistics in terms of the revenue, outage and turnout on a monthly basis. Obiakpo alone is bigger than some states in terms of revenue in Nigeria. For instance, the budget of Obiakpo can be compared to that of Gombe State, as the case may be. So that is why you find that you have so much. Then you go to FAGA. FAGA is another very rich local government also. So these two local governments alone, are bigger than some budgets of some states in the northern part of Nigeria. That is number one. Number two is that you have 3 or 4 ethnic groups in a River State. The Ikweres, the Ahoda people, Egbema and the rest. Then you have the Omok people. Then you have the Ogonis. The Calabaris are there also. These people is divided into what we call the upland and the waterside, area. So these people are at each other's throat each time it comes, to politics. If you could remember, one of the reasons why Bayelsa State was created, out of the then River State, was because of this political attrition between the Rivers people now and the majority Ijaws who are, now in Bayelsa State. So it's been an attrition. It's been a kind of political intrigues that do play out here, as the case may be. So it's a state that has a lot of political, intrigues that go amongst these particular ethnic groups that I've listed, and coupled with the fact that it's an oil-rich state. So people are bound, to come together and see they can capture the state and use that for their own personal gains, etc., and aggrandizement. So that is why you have these political upheavals here and there, right from 1999 to date. It's an equation that we've not been able to solve up to today, but we pray that one day, somehow, that we'll get over this and make Rivers State a better state for all of us to live.
An equation that the people of Rivers State, and I think by extension, Nigerians are yet unable to solve, to decode. But there must be something about Rivers State. We will return to all of that discussion much later. But right about now, there is a current crisis brewing. And for the first time, we're having it this tough in Rivers State, to the point of declaration of state of emergency in Rivers State, the point where all elected persons and their appointees were suspended, and emergency rule was instituted. I'd like you to go back to 2023 from May when Sim Fubara was sworn into office, and all of the happenstances that culminated into the current crisis. Who would you say instigated this crisis? Where is it coming from, really?
You see, events that culminated on how Sim Fubara came into office are well known and etched on our minds. Like myself speaking to you this evening, I was, the spokesperson for the Beatrice campaign, Beatrice Itubo campaign organization, and I also participated actively in the political activities in Rivers State. We were part of the labor movement and part of the obedient group, as we call it in Nigeria here, and we saw this coming. And we raised an alarm at that time to say that, somebody is trying to foist on the state a man that is not politically known, a man that wants to act as a stooge, to the outgoing governor who is now outgone, a man who the governor felt he could control, a man who the governor felt at his whims and caprices he could install to continue a third term in office. So we saw this coming. So when all these things were coming, we raised alarm. And we said that it's not going to be for the best interest of the Rivers people. But since this has happened, we didn't have it any more than what we call a fiat accompli. I remember that 2023 you mentioned, when the elections were coming, the state political firmament was militarized. Militarized in the sense that for other political parties to do campaigns openly, you needed to get permission from a particular body where you have to pay the sum of 5 million naira otherwise before you can go and use a public space to campaign. All these things were done because they wanted a particular man to become governor as at that time. And the person who was proposing, or the proponent of that particular whatever, we all know is the immediate past governor, Yeso Wike. He came by way of executive order 21 and 22, 23. All these things were campaigning. That for you to campaign, and when the election time came, we saw how ballot papers or ballot boxes were snatched. We saw how polling units were captured, etc. We saw how ballot papers were defaced, to enthrone a particular person that we have today as the governor of Rivers State. So these things were choreographed and orchestrated by, the then governor, Yeso Wike, in favor of the now governor suspended, Sim Fubara. So these are things that came up, and this is what we are facing today. Like we predicted, the people of Rivers State are the ones now who are suffering what happened in 2023, because they never allowed the people's will, to reign supreme. Most people today who are on the side of the governor today were his enemies when Yeso Wike was supporting and bringing in a particular city in Fubara that was not known to the polity and the Rivers people, as the case may be. He was just an accountant general or auditor general, as the case may be. Many of us did not know it. But he came in from nowhere, brought in by Yeso Wike, and today is the governor, and that is the making, and that is what we have today. That is why I believe that this crisis is the one that can be resolved between the two of them, because they know how they discussed and brought themselves into power.
The FT minister, who is one of the actors in this particular quagmire, one of his aides over there in Abuja has accused some political players in Rivers State of playing the ostrich, as at the time that Sim Fubara was still in office and this crisis was brewing. We here, I think that criticism was coming on the heels of the contribution of Ada George, a former leader in that state. And I remember that not quite a distant time from now, the former governor of the state, Peter Odili, also made some statements. And what followed next, I don't know. I'm not saying it's politically linked or that is linked to the imbroglio in Rivers State, but we saw dust being raised against him from the time when he was the governor of that state. I don't know what your position is, considering the political actors and the role they played in exacerbating the tension in Rivers State.
You see, my sister, I must have to tell you that it was Abraham Lincoln that said, that a statesman is somebody that is politically dead. That is, a statesman is somebody that is politically dead. He does not think or play politics at his age. He rather thinks about the nation or the state. In Rivers State, we have statesmen who are not politically dead. They are still politicians. And unfortunately, they are on both sides of the divide. If you check the Yesowike side, there are those who we consider as statesmen who are supporting him. On the same Fubara side, you have supposed statesmen also in Rivers State who are supporting him and egging him on, as the case may be. So that is why this war of attrition has exacerbated. And that is why you find that the belligerency, etc., as the case may be, has been there from both sides. Nobody is talking about peace. Now, let me give you for an example. Are you aware, that there are people like Peter Odili, there are people like Ada George, who was Ada George, there are people like Lee Meba, people like Ostijo Kocha. We have so many of them. Where are the Austin Okparas of this world? Where are those people? Where are those Lulu Briggs then? What are these people, the elders, those we felt that these are politicians and people that their words, are cast in stone and golden? Where are they today? They are taking sides. And the moment you have elders who ought to be statesmen now taking sides with both parties, you will never see the end, of that particular crisis. It's like a thief helping you to look for what has been stolen. Whereas he has what you are looking for in his pocket. He's the one that stole it. Most of them will never want this to do what now, to whistle down. Because in Rivers State, there's what we call Orina crisis. There are those we call Orina crisis. What we mean by that is that there are elders who benefit when you have crisis. They are called the Philistine carpetbaggers. If you remember the biblical Philistine carpetbaggers, they never sow. They don't sow seeds. What they do is that they wait for harvest time. When harvest time comes, they go after, the wheat, destroy it one way or another, and begin to reap where they didn't sow. So there are so many opportunists that we have. And some of the elders today, I must have to tell them the truth, that they have let us down. We were looking up to them, the old Dilis of this world, the other George of this world, the Tele Ikurus of this world, the Osinoparas of this world, and so many of them. Where are the Senator Umbatas of this world? So many of them we are looking up to, but they disappointed us, the Rivers people.
How do you see them? How do you see their own perception of the ongoing crisis? And what role do you think they are playing as both instigators and even victims of this particular situation? Young people now, Asim.
Yes, you see, the young people of Rivers State, if you've been to Rivers State before, you will know that Rivers State has a high population of very young men and women. What we regards as the youth of the Nigerians and Rivers people, unemployed. I don't know exactly why that situation has come about. A state like Rivers State that is so rich in natural resources has so many unemployed young people. Not because these young men are not ready to work, not because these young men are not intelligent, but because of the fact that the political elite has captured them. And you find out that the capturing I'm talking about is like what I call the Stockholm syndrome. Many of them see our political leaders here as kings, Alpha and Omega. Now you go out on a daily basis, you see young men singing praises of political leaders, not because they are more intelligent than them, but because of what they can get from them to keep body and soul together. Therefore, in this situation that they found themselves, which has been before now, and they continued under this same and wicked, feud, you find out that those who are supporting Wike will tell you that when you meet a man like this Wike, you can never return home the same as you met him. The same thing they are talking about saying Fubara the governor. They will tell you that look, there is money in government, and they now divide themselves into these two camps. Not because of the fact that they are not able-bodied, but because they feel that that is where they can easily take out livings for them to take care of themselves. Now, in Rivers State, the youths are the ones who run the campaign for these political elites. The political elites use them as the ladder, and these young men are like the proletariats. It's just like George Orwell's Animal Farm, as the case may be. Now, that is the dilemma the people or the young people of Rivers State have found themselves. Very intelligent people, but politically speaking, many of them lean on those people they see as political elites, and that is why they support for two of these particular, political elites is so fierce and tense. If you go through your social media, you will see young men who burn data on a second basis, trying to praise or destroy the other camp. As the case may be, you ask yourself, who is giving them these monies for them to do this, the social media engineering, as the case may be, and hide the situation? They spend their hard-earned money because they believe that the more attention you gain on social media, the more attention you may get from one of these political leaders who will now give you your lashes. And at the end of the day, you now win a lottery. So that is where the problem has been. The young men here, I need them, we have asked them to be articulate and at times be very objective in their assessment of what is going on, because it is their future that is being destroyed and is going to be destroyed and is being destroyed right now. Because the people like, Asim Fubara has 4 years, 8 years, he will be out of that place as governor. Wike has done 8 years, he will be out. Before you know, they become old, and at the end of the day, they have destroyed the youth future, as the case may be. But if you preach to these young men, they will tell you that you don't know what you're talking about. Many young men are able to die and shed blood for these two camps, just because of peanuts they get from them. So I don't know. It's a political re-engineering we need to do in this state. Maybe we have to start what I call ethical revolution or rebate, political recognizance and awareness, from these ignoramus, levels that they have placed themselves. It's so palpable and it's sickening when I see young men ululating, men who have ruined your future, men who have captured the state, men who are fighting on a daily basis, to do work. Are you aware that 2023, a certain young man was caught with a bomb when he went to one of the political offices or houses of one of the elites, where he was to detonate that particular bomb. It was all over the social media. Now, where is that young man? We have asked questions. I'm very sure the young man will wallowing in prison custody right now, as the case may be. The political class has used him and they have abandoned him. There's another one that we heard went to the presidential hotel that was arrested by the police to go and plant a bomb. He was arrested. Where is that young man today? Where is the family of the young man, as case may be? These are the things. What is the position? But they still don't want to learn, but they want to die for these politicians, but these political people do not want to die for them. So it's something, it's an enormous tax that must be done by those of us who fairly know what we are doing. And at the end of the day, we believe that we'll bring them out of the woods.
River State is has multiple ethnicity. We have the Ikere speaking Rivarians. We have the Ijo and probably other smaller, in quotes, tribes there in River State. I said earlier that this time last year or thereabout, we already started having the feeling that Tim Fubara is of the Ijo extract.
Yes.
Even up until the last moments before the suspension, we heard that this is the first time that an Ijo-speaking person would be the governor of River State in this recent dispensation. We're not talking about the military era when an Ijo man was the governor of River State. Alfred, I'm mixing up his name now. I'll remember as we continue with our conversation. Alfred Yettespif was the governor in the old River State. I'm talking about from 1999 up until now. And some persons are already saying, even if you are doing away with Sim Fubara, let us still have an Ijo person in place, replacing him. Now, how do you see communities in River State responding to this crisis, or how have they even contributed to the crisis?
You see, let me tell you, and let me be very frank here. Most people that voted, for Sim in 2023 did not vote for Sim because he was an Ijo man. Those who voted for him, I'm saying categorically speaking, because I was part of those who voted for him. I am not Ijo, and many people who voted for him, we are not Ijo people. But what we saw, and as the case may be now, is that, yes, the Idos have come to power. And even if they come to power, yes, it is their turn by virtue of, this political arrangement. What about the Ogonis? The Ogonis are there, they have not tested power, they have not become governor, they have not become governor, or whatever the case may be. The highest they have been is to be the SSG of the state through Magnus Abbey, as the case may be. You have people from Ahuda region, the Egbemas. So what place has they gotten from this particular River State share of political offices? Now, those that have dominated are the Ikweres. You have the Amechis, you have also people like Yesowike. They have been the one dominating the landscape of River State. Now, if the judge want to say that because they are there, then it means that if you take him out, then another Ijo man should replace him. I don't have any problem with that. So that there will be peace. Let another Ijo man go in there and do the remainder of what Sim is supposed to do.
Assuming he's not reinstated, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Away from all of this, do you think that the media has a role to play in all of this, or had a way of instigating the whole crisis, contributed rather in instigating the crisis? The social media, the mainstream media, both local and international.
I think the media had a very big role to play, and they have a part of, what has exacerbated, this crisis. The social media especially. For instance, let me tell you, are you aware, or maybe you must have seen on very many social media handles, where the person of Yesowike, some said he was dead, some said he's been sick, some said he has been paralyzed. There was a time a fake news came and said he has been flown to France for treatment, etc., as the case may be. You now see how they have demonized him, and that is the worst dictator, etc. If you open social media on a daily basis, anything talked about Port Harcourt or River State, they demonize so Wike as the person that has created all the problems Rivers State has had from 1999.
And you think this actually added fuel to the fire?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, if you demonize a man that maybe I support, for instance, I have the right of reply. I will go out to counter what you have said and also dig into your person's profile and begin to denigrate him, as the case may be. So it is not helping matters at all. A lot of young men buy data, enter the social media space and do a lot of and give a lot of wrong information and fake news pertaining to these two, titans who are on this political war with themselves. So the social media largely has acted. Let me give you, for example, are you aware also that there are stations, TV stations and radio stations, in Port Harcourt, Rivers State, today as I speak, that do support some of these candidates, some of these titans. I will not call the names or mention the brand of those particular, stations, but they know themselves. There are radio stations you go to. The way the presenter or the host, will begin to ask you questions and tackle you, you will know that he has bitterness. And when you talk about a candidate that he loves so much, he begins to give you a listening ear. But the moment you begin to talk about the other candidate that he does not like, you will see that it becomes so atavistic and antagonistic, to your own presentation as it may be. They are not fair at all. I have told one or two of them that I've met, and I said, look, the media, by virtue of Section 22 of the 1999 Constitution, they are supposed to be very neutral, but good governance and politicians on their toes, not selective amnesia, as the case may be. So the mainstream media, they've done that. Now, if you look at the print media, the newspapers, there are sub-cell magazines that you go to. For instance, I picked up one the other day around the conurbations in Port Harcourt, where that fake news and rumors were going that a particular man who is on the other side had stroke. They went as far as even putting the picture of that man as having stroke and on a sick bed. But later found that this was not true. That made a lot of rounds. People were hurrying to buy that particular tabloid, on the street corners, as the case may be. The owner of that particular tabloid was using that to exploit the people because he knew that this is the kind of news that they want to hear and read about. That is why he had to go all out and do this on a daily basis. They bring down a particular candidate. They never say anything good in him. What they do is that they demonize him and say this is the cause of the problem and crisis. And the moment you begin to paint one of the parties in that mode, believe you me, these poor human beings, they have people who tell them what is in the space there. What will happen is that they must have that power to react. And when they begin to react, you might not like the negative impulse of what they have done. So the media has contributed, that is the Rivers State here, for or against, what is going on here. And very few media houses are neutral on this. They feel that if they are neutral, nobody's going to listen to them. So when they pick on a particular candidate, people want to tune in. There's a particular radio station that when you listen to, you ask yourself, what kind of media practitioners are these? Now you ask yourself question, why are they always going and probing into a particular, candidate or a particular person that they feel that they don't like? And that is a sorry sight and it's so sickening, as the case may be. So they have added to this particular, field. On the daily, if I walk around, I do samples. I just, engage one or two persons. They tell you this is what happened. I ask them, what is the source of your information? They will tell you that Radio A said it yesterday, Radio B said it yesterday, newspaper A said it. But when you do a fact check on it, you find out that they are all false and rumors, as the case may be. So it's something that has bothered me. For this, and let me give for example, lastly, are you aware that when the governor was suspended, rightly or wrongly, a lot of people came out in the media and said they don't know the whereabouts of the governor. For 3, 4, 5 days, the media space was agog and filled with these particular rumors. And they don't even know where the man is. Some said he has been arrested by DSS. There was a newspaper that said DSS has picked him up. Some said he's in Bayelsa. Some people said that the other man sent people to come and pick him and take him to Abuja. At the end of the day, we found that these were all fake, news and rumors. And these things emanated from the media space. That is why I say that the media, in my own opinion, has contributed, especially social media, negatively has contributed to this. That is why there will be it's going to be very difficult for peace to come, bringing these two people together. We must have to look at things objectively and not subjectively, in my own opinion, for Rivers State to have peace. We want peace in Rivers State. Rivers State is a peaceful place. The MPA took their conference out of Rivers State just some few hours ago, and I'm taking it to Enugu. As the case may be, is it not because of what they read and hear on the media space that has made them do that? That is the situation. So it's sad. I just hope that one day that the real media, will be objective when they are assessing situations of this nature. I know that Section 22, gives them that particular, powers and guarantee for them to be neutral in situations like this.
Rivers State, like every other state in Nigeria, is not immune to political crisis. And this is not actually the first time that there's a crisis, political crisis, or politically motivated crisis is happening in Rivers State. And because it is not a new trend, we remember even the one that just happened between Chibika Amechi and Wike, the governor after him. We know what happened. And so because it is not new to Rivers State, is there some sort of framework already in existence to resolve these things? Because it's looking like it has to be external forces that would have to resolve this. The president has intervened, and with his intervention, we are seeing the next level of his intervention now, because all elected persons were suspended. But for Rivers people, can this be resolved at home? Is there no existing framework for conflict resolution?
You see, what is happening is this. I describe this as the Rivers syndrome from the beginning of this our discourse. The question we have to ask ourselves is that from 1999 till date, Odili was the governor of the state. He brought in Amechi as his successor. Immediately Amechi got into power, he had problem with the person that brought him into power. Then Amechi and Wike started working together. Before you know what was going on, Amechi had problem with Yesu Wike, as the case may be, and Wike became governor and became enemy to Amechi. Now Wike came in now, and he now brought in the present governor, Asim Fubara. Before you knew what was going on, they had their own problems, and they are now enemies at daggers drawn, to each other. So there's a syndrome, and the reason why this syndrome has lasted is because of the fact that in the Rivers political culture, we do not have statesmen who are really statesmen. We have political statesmen. Like I stated before, that Abraham Lincoln said that a statesman is a man that is politically dead. We do not have people or elders who are politically dead in Rivers State. Will I give you for an example? The reason is not far-fetched. Now you find out that even as it is today, a former governor who has done 8 years or whatever as case may be, we go and see the present governor and begin to go before him and give him handshake and begin to ask him one or two things. Before you know, he donates money to his foundation. He begins to build houses for him. He begins to do a lot of things for him. Look at traditional rulers. Most of them, even during the time of the past administration, most of them, their policies were rebuilt, by the administration. Even this present administration, policies are being rebuilt, cars are being bought for traditional rulers, which means they have compromised their situation. This kind of thing do not happen in some other states. Even though it happens there, it's not as, rife as we have in Rivers State. So this has been the problem. The question I've asked, and which I will keep asking, is this: where are these elders? I called in it. Where are the elders? Where are those political statesmen that we saw as political statesmen? Now, they are mates of this world. What are they doing? Are they enjoying what is going on here? The old delays of this world, are they enjoying what is going on here? The jet speak you talk about, is they enjoying what is going on here? The question we've asked is that is people like Lim, Magnus Abbey, and the rest of them, Celestine Omehia, where are they? Are they happy with what is going on in Rivers State? Can't a lone voice, come out to say, no, what is happening here, I don't think is proper. For instance, if you look at what happened in Lagos, the Speaker of the House of Assembly, Obasa, had issues when he was removed, as the case may be, and the lady speaker replaced him. You saw the way they resolved that particular issue. The House of Assembly of Lagos State was not bombed or burnt. The people there did not begin to fight themselves. Somehow, somewhere, they were able to, bring Obasa back in an arranged, pattern. And today, governance is going on. Even when the House of Assembly had problems in Lagos State, governance did not break down because you had statesmen in Lagos who came in and intervened and quickly solved that political long jam and problem in Lagos State. But in Rivers here, we do not have such. Those who are available, I don't know whether it is because of hunger or stomach infrastructure that has made most of them abdicate their responsibilities of being called statesmen and wade into this matter. Believe you me, if the Archbishop of the Catholic Church in Rivers, that of the Anglican Church, and some of the elders, traditional rulers, paramount rulers in Rivers State, and some other politicians wade in and say, these are our two sons. Can't we bring them together on the round table? And let's see, let us give it a try. President Tinubu did his best. Far away in Abuja, he's a Yoruba man. He intervened. Even though the 8-point agenda that he brought in, people said it was not good, but that was an interventionist approach. The same thing we are asking, okay, these elders should do the same as Tinubu did in Abuja and bring these two men together. So, okay, we have arrived at this 5-point agenda for settlement. Then whoever that is breaching it, then the Rivers people will now know that this is the person that is the troublemaker that has not heeded to the advice of the elders. But they are not doing that. People like Sadika will say, where are they? But you find that if you look at the ranks of those I've mentioned, they are here, either here or on the other side.
And you think that this is the strategy that can be adopted to nip this crisis in the bud?
Absolutely.
All
if
right.
we have people like that, like for instance in Edo State, in particular Adams Oshomole and his successor, Gordon Obaseki, they were good friends, but later they fell apart. Somehow, somewhere, one of them went and apologized to the other one and said, I'm sorry, this is what is happening. Then they moved on. And the state today is okay. They are moving on, as brothers, as the case may be. But the Rivers State is so internecine and very dirty. The war here is dirty. It's a dirty political war. And the reason why this is happening, let me tell you, you see, Fubara, the governor is a human being. Yes, your wicked is a human being. They are not gods, as the case may be. If you have people, they must have those they respect. Wicked must have one or two person in River State that he owe allegiance or respect to. See, Fubara has one or two person he has in River State, he owes the allegiance of respect to that person too. If that person call him and that person call his Owike and say, look, let us come together for the sake of this state, let us do what? And iron out all these things. You find that they will come to them. But nobody is doing that at this point in time. There was a particular elder who was talking from Delta State. It's late now. He was talking, instead of bringing the two of them together, he was supporting one faction against the other. Saying that they should call the other man to order. Every day was on air trying to castigate the other person. And you cannot get peace in that kind of way. You can never get peace, as the case may be. It's going to be very, very difficult for you to have peace in this kind of situation. People forget that Germany had Eastern and Western Germany before. But something happened, and that Berlin Wall was broken down. That a lot of us, the Berlin Wall, most of us were not even born when the Berlin Wall, was built. But you find out at the end of the day, people came and said, we are one people. Why is this separation? At the end of the day, what happened was this. Then there's peace, and it's one Germany we have today. The Palestinians and the Israelis, every time you see peace being brokered, even though some of the peace has not worked, but there's a trial, you are giving it a try. One day, you'll be very surprised that based on the efforts they have made, people have made to bring peace to this region, that the two areas, the two groups, will come together and help themselves. The same thing we are talking about here. If nobody talk, this particular program will keep exacerbating, it will keep inflaming and going up on a daily basis. That is the situation we find. The elders must come out. The people that we respect, opinion holders, we are not just a statesman for being a statesman or just being called a name. You must come out for the sake of your state and fight for this state and let there be peace. That is what we are praying for. Our voices, we talk on a daily basis, but let me be very frank with you, they don't even see us as nobody. They see us as people who just talk and they want to be heard, as the case may be. So if you have people who come on national television to say today, I want to say that Jesus Wike, Saint Father, I want to form a committee to settle them, it will be okay. Do you know that a group came up recently? They couldn't find statesmen in River State to broker peace between these two people. They have gone to approach people like Abdulsalam Abubakar, Matthew Kuka, and some other people from outside River State to see if we can broker peace between these two people. The question we have asked is this: so are we have to go far north for us to go and get peace brokers? What happens in the River State? Okay, let's even leave River State. Are you saying there are no elders in Bayelsa, because Bayelsa was part of River State before, that can say, look, we're once brothers. Can't we come together and see how we can do this? Nobody is doing that. The governors of the South too, they have taken side. Some are in the wicked camp, some other are with the Saints Kubara. You saw what happened in Bayelsa. They wanted to host one of the factional leaders, and the Bayelsa governor said you cannot use a particular stadium because of the fact that he does not want that kind of a thing to happen. Whereas you have freedom of association and movement in Nigeria, they are not saying you cannot do that. So these are things that is making the whole this thing, getting to this point that we are. We need peace in this state, honestly speaking. And who is going to bring that peace? People say God will bring peace. I say, let me tell you, God might not be interested in what is happening in River State because it was man-made. And at the end of the day, the people who are creating this problem, I believe that one day they should want to get this whole thing resolved.
All right, thank you very much, Asim Adams, for your very resourceful contribution to our subject matter on politicals. Thanks for joining us. Do enjoy.
Thank you, and God bless you.
Yourself.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.